So this is the 340 West 55th Street Temple. You can clearly see it. You know where the building is. Required this. This was moving from Henry Street, Brooklyn. Prabhupada, that the period in Henry Street, 439 Henry Street, saw a huge expanse of devotees joining. Prabhupada, there was one period in 1971 where he was conducting initiations, like 4 or 5 days in a row. Satyanarayan Prabhu, who was doing the Far East and Arabic BBT, if you've seen him, he was initiated there. So they were, among other things, they were doing huge on Sankirtan and collection and sending huge amounts of money for Prabhupada from Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Bombay, especially Bombay. So Prabhupada, on one visit, the devotees were saying, "Prabhupada, this is such a wonderful," and it was a very tight facility. It was 2 brownstone buildings. It was in a roughneck neighborhood. They were like really like kind of tough, kind of mafia kind of Italian people who didn't really like the devotees, and it was like, you know, and it's like Bergen Street F train, you know, and then a walk. It's like, and so they're praising the thing to Prabhupada. You know what Prabhupada said? Brooklyn means poor man's temple. Move the temple back to Manhattan. Because even 26 Second Avenue, and then, has anyone ever heard the memoir of Rukmini? You know, she was there in the 61 Second Avenue, which is between 3rd and 4th Street, just 2 blocks up 2nd Avenue, but on the other side of the street, going more towards St. Mark's Place. And she, you know, as a 16-year-old young lady, was thinking, oh, you know, Prabhupada's going to be so, you know, disappointed. They're telling Prabhupada it's a palace. It was a tuxedo palace. It was actually like the mafioso guys in the 30s and 40s. They go there to get their tuxedos and their suits made, you know. And the mirrors, like you go in a dress shop and you can look at the different mirrors. This one, this side, this side. Like you can see that movie Swamiji. Prabhupada is speaking on the lectern there, and Prabhupada said, "I prayed to Krishna to send me one moon, but he sent me so many moon-like boys and girls." So that was 61 2nd Avenue, and there was some facility for devotees to live, not just men and ladies, but separately. I think the ladies had a separate address, more than just sleeping on the floor at 26 2nd Avenue and bathing in Prabhupada's little apartment bathroom. But still, Prabhupada understood, you know, the difference between Manhattan and Brooklyn, or outer boroughs. So then, he told the devotees to go on a collecting marathon to get a temple in Manhattan. And Tosan Krishna tells the story that a huge amount of money was acquired, and Prabhupada put out his hand and said, "Send that money for Bombay, for the construction." And Tosan Krishna said, "We were very happy that we were putting the money directly into Prabhupada's hand to go out and collect again." So this was collected for and purchased in 1975. And it's just amazing. I joined here in 1978. You see where the building kind of juts out here, you know, the second half on the right side. So going down the side of the building, these trees weren't here, or they weren't as big as they were. This is 1978. HAREKRS, Hare Krishna. And the banner wasn't the Sherwood, it was tally-ho, you know. Why did they say tally-ho to a fox? I don't know. Anyway. So it had a beautiful yellow banner with Lord Chaitanya on it. They actually had a flagpole with Lord Chaitanya banner, like, just above the, you know, the arch there, the semicircle thing. And I'm like, you know, I was just so impressed. I thought, wow, you know, these people really have it together, you know, such a building, you know. So that's why, you know, in terms of preaching, where you know, there's 3 things that are very important. First one, second one, the third one. Each one more increasing in importance. The first one is location. The Second one is location. Third thing is location. And this ground floor here was the gift shop. They had the restaurant was in the basement. Of course, the whole third floor was a theater. The Vaikuntha Players, Lohi Taksha, Rasikna, Lokamangala, and so many others. It was, they had like theater nights, they had plays and dramas, and I can't remember exactly, but I know the 5th floor was the men's ashram, the 6th floor was Bhakti training, the 7th floor was the ladies ashram, 8th floor was Grihastha apartments, as I think was the 9th floor, and the 11th floor, top floor, was Prabhupada's quarters.
Wait, what about that floor?
Huh?
Did you skip that?
We'll have to ask Hansarupa, could probably fill you in more on the exact. But it was just so much room. We had like 250, 300 devotees living there. So we like, you know, like have more than like 25, 30 men. Or how many, you see the ladies' floor is the same as the men's floor in the temple, you know. It's like, how many people can be in there before it's just like a barrel of monkeys and it's just like stepping on each other, you know. So here it was just so much space. It was just amazing. And Prabhupada called it my skyscraper building in New York, my beacon of light for the rest of the world. And like where we're going to go now, we see how Prabhupada struggled. And in 10 years' time, he's riding down 5th Avenue, you know, with thousands of followers, you know, in these unbelievably beautiful Rath Yatra carts, and he's in this building. Just see, you know. So a building like this was gifted. This is Krishna's personal reciprocation with his pure devotee. Just like Bhaktivedanta Manor, or so many other prestigious, you know, the Vrindavan Temple, the Mayapur Temple, Bombay Temple. So Prabhupada said, if you can't expand, at least maintain what I've given you. So a final thing I'll say is that you can listen to this on the Prabhupada Memories, Siddhanta Kapal, number 62. If you turn to the 32nd minute mark, there's a devotee named Jai Gaur Sundar, who was like a carpenter, handyman devotee, who was brought in to fix the temple up. This was formerly a Carmelite nursing home. So that was actually one thing there. There was devotees would wake up ghostly haunted, like, anyway, whatever. So at the time, even in July 1976, Prabhupada's first and only visit, there was the idea we want to sell this temple and take the money and do something else with it. And Prabhupada very strongly said, no, do not sell this temple. If you sell this temple, where will the deities go? Where will the devotees go? Many devotees will fall down. Right? Like especially in New York City, you know, it's like you're thrown out and you got to fend for yourself. It's very difficult. How can you maintain your Krishna consciousness? So like Prabhupada, he gave us a place to live. You know, be a preacher, be a representative of Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Santa, Lord Chaitanya. You don't have to worry about the struggle for existence. So Prabhupada understood the importance. And then he even tried again in the same walking around tour, and Prabhupada became very stern, stopped, slammed down his cane and said, no means no. And then the devotee went on to say, so we could see the disaster of epic proportion that ensues when we disobey such an instruction of the spiritual master. I know for me this was like the most dynamic and powerful and happiest 2.5, 3 years of my entire Krishna conscious life, and I happened to be only between 19 and 22 years old at the time.
Do you remember the elevator is always breaking and we have to go all the way up by stairs and down?
I do remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite a record.
That was one of the reasons given, you know, too much to maintain.
Rob, another comment is, because I grew up in the city here, so this neighborhood, like Ram was saying, no, it's not me. Ram was saying that Ram Roy Prabhuji was saying that this was Krishna's personal gift to the pure devotee and thus to all of us. But also, but the value of that gift wasn't perceived by the some of the devotees at the time as Srila Prabhupada understood it. In part, that can be understood today because the value of I mean, the value, real estate matters. The value of real estate here is like so much higher than it was then. The neighborhood.
Neighborhoods become much more what you call gentrified. It was a little bit of a rough neighborhood in the 70s here,
But it was still really nice. But the point is now it's even.
It's the nature of New York is like, the rough stuff gets pushed out more into outer boroughs and then the more prestigious. Anyway, so we have the Brooklyn Temple is kind of a consolation prize because the neighborhood has become much more respectable and expensive. We moved into that building in November 1982. And the cost of that building, if my memory serves, was $600 and something thousand dollars.
The building?
Yes, at the time.
600,000.
Right, 630, 650. Now there's a price between, I've heard between 80 and $100 million.
And the value of a dollar, it doubles approximately, I don't have this exactly right, but something like 17 to 20 years. So if you were to say the value of that dollar doubled either twice or three times, you would get it.
Anyway,
it was either 2.4 or 4.8 million. And you're to say 80.
It was very wonderful to live here. The proximity to, we would work in the year Fifth Avenue in particular. American money went down and other European and world money went up. So like people were coming here from all over the world because their money was very valuable in like tourism. And we were just working Fifth Avenue with books and record albums. And we were going so big that we would just come out here and hail a taxi and have us bring us to Rockefeller Center. Money was no object. We were making money, spending money. It was great. It was really fantastic. Yes.
Where's the college spot over there? What was that? The open part?
That's a balcony.
Yeah, but like
Oh,
how
I
big
don't
was
know.
that? What was on there?
Hudson Rupa might have a better specific. He's got an amazing memory, but he was like.
That's the ninth floor.
But there's a very nice on top of this building. Vishaka Prabhu, she took a picture during Prabhupada's stay for like I think it was 12 days. The Rath Yatra was on Sunday, July 18th. But all the devotees gathered on the roof, and they were all hanging out the windows. And Prabhupada, they made a Vyasa here on this balcony here on the 4th floor. Okay, I think we've spent enough time here, and now we will walk back to where we started, where the Harinam is, and then walk through the park and come to 72nd Street. Hare Krishna.
So on you realize the real value. It's like 2.4 to 4.8.
More in the crime and punishment, law and order kind of mode of things. So we had the front desk here, right? You can see the wall there, and like we try to maintain some type of security there in the building at the front desk. So this was like a little more of a rough neighborhood. There was like more kind of like drugs, kind of. So we had a receptionist. The main one was his devotee named Sri Lokeshwar, and there was no cell phones or anything back then. So we had like an intercom system, and if there was any problem, you would just get on the intercom, Nishringadev, 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 you wanted at the front desk. And Vikeshwar Pandit, Urjaswat, Bhumi Party, these are like very muscular and like really buff and like, kind of heroic kind of guys. They would just like come down, and one time, I remember there was someone caught shoplifting in the store. So the Shringadev, he comes down. So yeah, this is back in the day when the wrongdoer can be punished, and you're not going to get in trouble for you sprayed mace in the guy while he was slitting your throat. You're going to go to jail, all this crazy liberal woke nonsense. So the police were like, the mood of the police back then was like, hey, thanks a lot, for beating the guy up, so we don't have to, So Vikeshwar Pandit is a shoplifting. So they bring him down into the basement, and he just started. So You think the Hare Krishnas are just a bunch of like, like weaklings, huh? Bam, So I want you to understand that we're not weaklings. Boom, and like Bip Bop, Batman, and like you just like beat the guy up, and then like they call the police, and they throw him on the street. And they say the guy had an accident, and that was that, So it was. You never felt safe in that street. And there at 72nd Street, exiting the park, is John Lennon's Imagine Mosaic Memorial. And Prabhupada was living 1 block away at 100 West 72nd Street, and he regularly entered Central Park. And that memorial, of course, was made like 1981, 1982, but it's kind of a very hilly spot, and that particular entrance for pedestrians into Central Park, Prabhupada would have walked right past where that memorial is, like where there's like ramps and stairs to bring you down into the main part of the park. So that's kind of interesting. John Lennon, he served Srila Prabhupada in not as much as George Harrison, but it came a time that he was living right there on the corner in this very famous and prestigious building called the Dakota, where famous movie stars, Humphrey Bogart's wife, Lauren Bacall, and so many others lived. It's a very prestigious, very rich place to live. So John Lennon was living there for at least 5 years, 1975, and he was, of course, gunned down on that spot. 15 years later, after Srila Prabhupada was walking there. So it's kind of interesting. And there's an interesting story, okay? I don't think we have enough time. I mean, if everyone wants to overrule, but 340 West 55th Street is just 4 blocks down here. Who here has seen that building? Who here has lived in that building? Okay. So we were all there in 1980, December 8, 1980, and there's one husband and wife devotees, Sarotama and his wife Bakula. So she was in Roosevelt Hospital, which is somewhat west of here, which services 72nd Street, this whole area. And their daughter, was it Mangalard? She was born on that day, or that she was going in for a checkup or something. So Sarotam is in the waiting room, and John Lennon is brought in. He wasn't declared dead at that time, but Sarotam understood that this is John Lennon, and just while, there was a brief period of time when, he wasn't being surrounded by doctors or others, and he just went up to him and chanted the Maha Mantra for him. So interesting. So he did service, and he was, okay. So when we get to that point, we'll stop. We're going to just walk the 12 blocks through the park, nice. And then we'll sit around the benches there briefly, and then I'll explain what will be next. Okay?
Hare.
On 23rd Street, where Madison Square Park is, it's called the Flatiron District. There's, I think it's called the Metropolitan Insurance Company. Maybe it's something else. It's got this beautiful golden dome on top. Okay? And Prabhupada thought, this would be a very beautiful temple at this building. And also he liked the Con Edison clock tower on 14th Street and 3rd Avenue. Like that building too. He had his books in the Bryant Park Library, the main New York City library. And he would, being in the Upper West Side, 72nd Street, he would come down through here, he'd walk through the park. So there's a photograph, it just surfaced. I think it's some time to find it. But Prabhupada is just maybe like 50, the place where Prabhupada was walking was just like 50 yards from here, and you could clearly see this building. This is the largest building in New York City now, the one behind it is called the Central Park Tower. That's the Steinway Tower. Anyway, so, okay, that's what I wanted to say. And, yeah.
Wovon versprochen, wo man Prabhupada drauf sieht, mit den Häusern im Hintergrund.
Okay, so here is the photograph. You can pass my phone around, or the Prabhupada walking here and see this building. Prabhupada is right in this vicinity. We could forward it to various. I could forward it down the line. You know the story that Prabhupada had the stroke on Memorial Day weekend, 1967, and everybody leaves town on Memorial Day weekend. There was no doctors, and they're calling around. And finally, Brahmananda got some like city referral, some kind of like quacky kind of doctor guy came and he examined. You know, Prabhupada was like paralyzed on one side, and you know the devotees didn't know what was going on, and he just took a stethoscope and really didn't do anything. And the devotees are outside Prabhupada's bedroom, and then the doctor comes out, and Prabhupada could hear the guy talking. And so Brahmananda said, "So what's wrong?" He goes, "Well, you know, I think the old man's praying too much. He's just sitting there praying all day. He's got to get out. He's got to take a walk, you know. He's got to do something. Go to the park, you know. Give me my money." All right. The guy left. And they all thought the guy is nuts, you know. So then when Prabhupada recovered, then he said, that doctor actually said something valuable. So from now on, I'm going to take a morning walk every day. And he did that, you know, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you this. And
Everybody facing that way.
Wird's mit dem Hintergrund dahinter drauf, ne?
this is Prabhupada came back from the 3 months in San Francisco, mid-January to mid-April. This is between April the 9th and Memorial Day weekend, because he's wearing this coat, you know, April you wear a coat, this is probably like spring.
You're talking about 67.
7. This coat was given to him in San Francisco, and he's wearing it.
Prabhupada had the most far out outfits sometimes in those days. Like he had this hat tail on this one.
There's a story of
Famous
Himavati, and she made Prabhupada a shirt with like buttons, you know, like snaps, and with like an American cowboy kind of thing. And she's saying, "Prabhupada, you look just like a cowboy." And Prabhupada said, "I am a cowboy." Which is fascinating with the snap.
Habe ich das schon gemacht?
Okay. Mit dem Haus.
Wait for your people.
And where are we going? Here?
Everyone, come look at the map. Ram will show you where you just walked.
You did this, and you're here, and we're going here, and that's where we are. That's right. And that's where strawberry.
So this is Columbus Circle right there. And now we're here.
We're here.
Right here.
We're going here.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Hare Krishna. So I think I explained this before, but I'll say it again just in case some of the devotees didn't hear. So this is the memorial for John Lennon, and this is the building that he lived in Dakota. What type of architecture would you describe that as?
Subi, what kind of architecture would that be? Dakota.
Some type of medieval.
Oh, this is Gothic.
Anyway,
Gothic.
yeah.
Gothic.
Gothic, yes. It was built in the 1870s. So when we cross the street, we'll actually see the place where Prabhupada was living, 100 West 72nd Street. So Prabhupada would come. This is the entrance to Central Park, and this is because this is like on a big ridge, you know. So this was the walkway to get into the park. So Prabhupada would regularly walk past it. This is like, 15 years before this was here. And Yoko Ono, and I guess they weren't religious people, there was no ceremony, but his ashes were scattered in this area. Hare Krishna. So, in this area, you know, because this was a favorite place for them because they just lived here.
Yeah.
So we will now go, and we're gonna.
And wait, did you show them the circle?
There is the circle.
It says imagine. It says imagine on it, like John Lennon's song.
You know, if you go to any New York City souvenir store or anybody selling photographs or memorabilia, this is like an iconic New York image, you know, along with John Lennon standing in front of the Statue of Liberty holding his green card and making a peace sign.
But he was shot near the building.
Right, actually, yes. He was shot right in the front there. Not this side, that side. You'll see there's like the Chowkidar stand or the, you know, whatever. It was right in that spot. There's a bus stop there. Yeah, but it was in view, and I'll point out at that spot, you can see the building where Prabhupada was living. And first, he was placed at the end of October. It might have lasted a little bit longer. So Prabhupada got there here to New York City from Butler, Pennsylvania, stopping in Slippery Rock College or university, and also he went to the University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia campus, which is a very prestigious school. And at that time, Prabhupada had an appointment with a professor, and he's walking across the campus, and Ravindra Swarup, with his then girlfriend at the time, was now his wife for the last, however, 55 years. So Dominic, I don't recall their name, their given name. Said, I saw this Swami walking. I saw this golden, effulgent Swami from India walking across the. So he was one of the first of who would become later Prabhupada's disciples who saw him. Also, there was a disciple named Chaivan who became Chaivan Swami. He was one of the devotees who helped open up preaching in South Africa and other places in Africa. He was a merchant marine, and he was stationed in Boston when the Jaladoodle landed in September of 1965. And he saw the Jaladoodle, and he saw Prabhupada on the deck, and he gave him the customary welcome salute for new travelers coming. So then later, when he became a devotee, he understood that he had seen Prabhupada when he was in the Navy. Interesting. All right, so
how long later? How much time passed before he became a devotee?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever, 3 years, 5 years, doesn't matter. Okay. So so we will proceed, and we'll stop there and point out the view of the building. Side of the street, you see by the green light, I think it's a 5-story building, and it's like white color. There's trees growing on top. Everybody can see that?
Yeah.
That's 100 West 72nd Street. And I believe you can see the 3rd floor. We're going to come up close, but I'm just pointing out. So that was, Prabhupada was first put at the beginning of November. Yoga in on the 5th floor, but you see this building is like they have windows on 2 sides, but it's a building that has 4 sides to it. So he was on the side of the hallway on the 5th floor that had no windows. Okay, so Prabhupada was in there from November, December, January, mid-February. He had enough backing, and he got his own apartment in the building on the 3rd floor, and the rent was $80 a month.
Say the years.
This was, I said the year 1965. There's only 2 years that we're talking about. October, November, December 1965, and January, February, March, April.
Is that the place where Prabhupada's typewriter was stolen?
Correct.
He rented an office actually.
That was the 3rd floor. The 5th floor, there was no theft. The 3rd floor was
Oh,
theft.
then he shifted.
He shifted there mid-February, and then he, like Harvey Cohn, who was living downtown, he met Prabhupada up here, at Mishra's, and they invited him, you should come down, be with the young people, don't be with all these fuss-budgety Upper West Side kind of, whatever, And so then he got the free stay in the 94 Bowery, so he left here after just 2 months. But total, being in this building was November, December, January, mid-February.
November through mid-February, 3 months.
November, December, January, and half February.
It's about 3 months.
3.5 months, and then
3.5.
2 months. So, like that. Okay, so now we're going to proceed to the red light, which is Columbus Avenue, and we'll have a better view of the building. We'll say a few things more. Krishna, is everybody here? Is everybody in? The talk is about to begin. Okay. So you can hear my voice, but look this way. So this is 100 West 72nd Street. The entrance is next to, what does that say? Chipoki Browse or something?
That
green-
says Bespoke Browse.
Bespoke Browse. Okay, well.
Bespoke.
Okay, Bestoke them brows, baby. Let's
That's
go.
right, custom.
And so where the scaffolding begins and that shining neon light there, that's the entrance to the building. So we described to you the 5th floor apartment, which you can't see, but the 3rd floor, and Prabhupada very much liked it. You can see it's got windows like from 3 angles, one facing directly this way.
So which apartment was?
3rd floor.
Well, where on the 3rd floor?
Just listen to what I'm saying and,
Okay.
and comprehend it with your intelligence. Okay, and the window facing here, 72nd Street, and this one, and the 2 windows facing Columbus Avenue. So at the time it was an office, but now it's a residence. And Prabhupada remarked about it, I very much like this. Imagine, because he's been living for 3.5 months in a windowless room. Okay, and here the sun is rising in the east and traversing this way and setting in the west. So you probably get very nice morning and early afternoon sun coming in the windows. And it's only 3rd. There was an elevator. Prabhupada didn't have to walk up. Like at 94 Bowery, they call these buildings pre-war walk-ups, which is a glorified way of saying there's no elevator. You have to walk up 4 flights, just like in the Brooklyn Temple. So this was where Prabhupada stayed. February, mid-February to mid-April, when he took the invitation from Harvey Cohn to go live in 94 Bowery, which is in between Hester and, I think, Broome Street. Anyway, it's a Canal Hester, Chinatown.
Common pre-war building means it's high quality. See how high the ceilings are? So it's even if it's a walk-up, it's very nice.
Not always.
Okay.
Anyway, let's not get into that. So, okay, when Prabhupada first arrived on the bus, he came on a bus from Pittsburgh, or no, from Philadelphia actually, because he went on Butler, Pittsburgh, Slippery Rock, Philadelphia, and so he was met by one of Mishra's people at the Port Authority bus station where we do Harinam, and was taken to the Indian Embassy at 3 East 64th Street, which is like right near the Arsenal, which is where the the whole New York City Parks Department offices. It's right north of the Central Park Zoo. That's where all the embassies for New York City are, the Upper East Side, generally speaking. And he was brought there, and there was like some festival going on, the Indian festival, and there was Uday Shankar, who was one of the brothers of Ravi Shankar, who was a dancer. And so at that, it's about Mishra, so you have to sit through this whole thing. And then he's brought, after the bus ride, to 33 Riverside Drive, and he had a penthouse apartment. You know, people who have big, swanky, prestigious apartments, they have multi-rooms. So Prabhupada was given a room all to himself. And it was on the 14th floor, overlooking the Hudson River. Commanding view, very nice, western sunshine. So, if you read in the Lilamrita that they would have arguments over Mayavad philosophy and pure devotional service. So, Sasramaj in the Lilamrita writes very, let's say, what's the careful wording. When it became inconvenient to maintain Prabhupada in his apartment, which decision happened after like a week and a half. You know, usually you know right away whether it's inconvenient to host a guest, you know, just physically strong. You know, if it's all cool in the gang and, you know, it doesn't matter, you know. You know, we don't got money to pay the rent, but we love each other, no problem. But like because it was just shouting, and he had like students coming over, and Prabhupada was always like defeating him. Swamiji, you cannot speak, but you can sing. Now Swamiji is going to sing, but he's not going to talk. You know? So then he moved Prabhupada into the windowless room. He had a hatha yoga studio on the 5th floor.
Out from his
No, you know, a sink in the toilet, but no shower and no cooking facilities. So the next thing that we're going to see is between here and Amsterdam. It's a very long avenue block. Is 143, which is the building that Prabhupada saw for sale and wanted to make that the first Radha Krishna temple in the United States and in New York City. He was writing to his godbrothers, to wealthy industrialists, Padapad Singhania. He had a friendship with, what was his name? Premier, what was his first? Shastri, you know, but he died of a heart attack in January 1966. You know, and like, bam, you know. So Prabhupada, from being moved out of the swank penthouse apartment, he had to walk every day, and this is one of the coldest and snowiest winters on record since they've been keeping records since the late 1880s. You know, Prabhupada had to walk one full avenue block, a big one, and then 3 blocks north to 75th Street, then 2 more avenue blocks, short ones, Broadway to West End Avenue, and then West End down the hill to Riverside Drive. And especially over there, it's kind of residential, and you know, you have to, you know, okay, this is my property, it's like 18 feet, and I'll shovel the snow, and then and when you get to I think it has to be done within 24 hours of when the snow fell, or when the snow stopped falling. So it was very spotty. And you don't have all these it wasn't pick up after your dog and, you know, pooper scooper and like little plastic things, you know. It's like the smell of dog stew was everywhere, right? Nobody would clean up after their dog back in
No, in the old days,
No, right.
you had to always, it was commonplace to step in dog food.
Right. So Prabhupada had to make this walk. So I want everybody to, when we cross the street, put on your Geiger counter or your click. You know, just start counting. Okay, this is the walk. Okay, so Prabhupada took this walk for you and me to save our souls. Under all this austerity. You know, Mishra, you could have like hired a taxi, you know, to bring him there. But you know, and if you read in Prabhupada's diary, called there was two. Prabhupada kept a diary. The one on the boat was called the Jaladuta diary, and the one that he kept from here all the way until the 2nd or 3rd initiations in 26 2nd Avenue. I think the final entry is Jadharani and Rupanuga in November 1966. So Prabhupada is describing the time here. Sometimes I am troubled by night starvation, because he's only eating 1 cooked meal a day and only being able to take 1 good proper bath. You know, wow. So now we're going to cross it. I mean, we could go like, you know, to the beginning of the finish line, boop, you know, and stand in front of the entrance and make the walk. But you know, let's do that, so that everybody can get a feel. So in this, there was like Hansen glass, and Prabhupada suspected that the janitor himself was the one who.
The same building downstairs.
At the 5th floor, on the side, in the middle of the hallway where there's no window, and then the 3rd floor. One interesting note: who was alive in November 1965? Raise their hands. Okay, so there was a blackout. It was a Friday night at 5:30 in the morning. It affected like the whole eastern seaboard, 3 Canadian provinces, 800,000 people. Can you imagine being trapped in the subway train? Rush hour, 5 in the afternoon until like 12 hours later when the electricity came back on. So Prabhupada was in the 5th floor, windowless, and Mishra, at least he sent like one of his students over with candles and food. And Prabhupada was like, oh, they have blackouts in America too. Okay, just like India. Okay. He was just chanting very peacefully and joyfully on his japa beads. And then the student was like, the young man was like, trying to impress upon Prabhupada the serious nature of such a blackout in New York City, So that happened there.
Huge spike in cross lines, 9 months after.
Okay,
I read that.
read that, okay. All right, so now let us cross the street here, and then we're gonna cross the street, and we're gonna blow the gun and start the race in front of the entrance.
So you get an idea what it looks
You see the nice, what do you call that, festoon, the arches there, and so forth.
like. That's good.
Is that the right word? I think so. If you go to 26 2nd Avenue, they have a buzzer, 2C, that was called, and it said at the time, AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami. So I don't know, that would be an interesting question. But it is name written in the slot and the buzzers here. Okay, so I want everybody to put on your, I don't know, like, what do you push the button and
GoPro.
timing and, whatever.
Clicker.
Click, But we're gonna, so Prabhupada would have to start here, and where he crossed the street, but we have to, mid-block, we have to jaywalk across the street to see 143 West 72nd Street, which is the building that Prabhupada wanted to purchase for the first Radha Krishna temple. Next. To acquire that building, so not only just for posterity, but this 72nd Street and Amsterdam Avenue next door, this is the business district, the heart of the Upper West Side. And I would say it would make a mighty fine preaching center, temple, vegetarian restaurant, and you'll see, like right next door, they have like Zen nutritional yoga. And this particular building, 143, is now, last time I was here, it's like unoccupied, but it was like a Bodhi, some type of massage spa, something. So it's like a very new agey kind of, so we would fit in here very nicely. We make like a kind of Divya's kitchen kind of a thing, so I'm putting that out there. That building should be acquired because of its historical value and also its right now up-to-date current potential. It's for lease. It's unoccupied at the moment. Now I'm going to stand over here. So you can view it. All right. So at the time, the ground floor was like a restaurant. Just kind of like a, continental restaurant. So you see the circle above the 2nd floor? That's where the flagpole was. It was a 2-story building with a basement. So they very tastefully, in subsequent years, added the 3rd floor. It's like the same architecture. So
what are you saying with the diagonal kind of windows that wasn't there before?
correct. You see the circle? That's where the flagpole was.
That's the top of the building.
That was the top of the building. Yeah.
Oh,
So Prabhupada had the idea that the temple would be on the 2nd floor. No, the temple would be on the ground floor, and residents would be in the temple on the 2nd floor, restaurant on the 1st floor, and residences in the basement. And I think the price at the time was, I think something like $80,000 for the whole building. So Prabhupada could
Probably
get
now
it
about-
together.
Probably now about
$6-7 million.
if I had to guess.
So you see, it just fits right in the neighborhood. And then like over here, there's Trader Joe's. Come on, I mean that's they got Bank of America, Chase. I mean this is and that's the subway. That's how we're gonna go home. Also the 123 train. So you can read the chapter in Planting the Seed, Volume 2, Prabhupada Leela Amrita. It will not be possible to assist you. Prabhupada was writing through the winter of 1966, 65 into 66. One thing I forgot to say about Prabhupada's residence at 100 West 72nd Street, Prabhupada spoke the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. Like you can hear, the following is the introduction to Bhagavad Gita by A.C. Bhagavad, so Prabhupada, and also he recorded solitary bhajans, prayers to Queen Kunti, he's just playing along with cartels, and what's called Shukadeva Goswami's prayers for invocation of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is chapter 4 of the second canto, called The Process of Creation. He did that all here, and he was, of course, he came to America with the first 3 volumes of the whole first canto translated. So here he was working on the second canto when he was staying here. Yeah. So a lot of, and also his Bhagavad Gita manuscript was completed here in this building. Okay, so now we're going to make the walk. So we just walked half a block. An avenue block is a big block. You know, north-south blocks are shorter, but crosstown blocks are more. So we are going to cross the street at the red light, and there is Broadway. We're going to make a right on Broadway and walk 3 blocks to 75th Street. Along the way is one of New York's premier concert venues called the Beacon Theater. Pass right by it. And then we'll make a left on 75th Street. There's a big supermarket there now. There wasn't any supermarket there at the time. And we'll see the 33 Riverside Drive. We'll stand on the side of Riverside Drive and gaze up at the 14th floor. I can't point out exactly which was Mishra's apartment, but I can point out the 14th floor. And then there's a park there called Riverside Park, and Prabhupada liked to walk in there, particularly because it did the section right next to where he was staying and going over for cooking and everything was flat. And we'll walk along that, and we'll come up again to 72nd Street, and that's where the West End Superette, where Prabhupada would go shopping to buy boga to go cook at Mishra's like that. And then we will walk back up to where the subway is, and that will conclude today's proceedings. So.
And then everyone can see it and move on.
Okay. All the way until he went down to the Bowery apartment, where he had to walk up and down 4 flights of stairs. He's living in the Skid Row of New York, the Bowery, you know. I mean, Chinatown put a little, what do you call it, took away some of the sting, but not much, you know. And then, you know, so much struggle, Prabhupada. When Prabhupada said, 1 year of struggle, and then Mukunda coming and getting 26 Second Avenue, and it's described that Prabhupada's residence at 26 Second Avenue was in a better neighborhood than the Bowery, but it wasn't said that it was at all quaint. Because Second Avenue is one of the main truck routes and traffic routes out of the city going over the going to the Manhattan Bridge, which is like a free bridge. And it was like constant traffic, constant noise, you know, so.
And the traffic is different now?
I think it's different. There's not as many trucks going there as there were at that time. Yeah. Okay, that's all I can think of to say at this point. So we're going to make the walk now, and everybody keep in mind this is the distance, and feel it in your bones and in your muscles.
One of these blocks is the equivalent of like 4 or 5 going this way, north south.
A long block?
Yeah, something like that.
Right. Okay. Stop right here. All right, this is the end of Prabhupada's walk. Okay, this is the end of Prabhupada's walk. 33 Riverside Drive. This is the entrance to the Dorman right there. Now we're in the proximity of Lincoln Center, which is where Juilliard School of Music, the Philharmonic Orchestra, the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So the people who participate, the musicians and everything, they have to live somewhere, right? So this is one of these prestigious buildings. If you come in, we're going to go see the view of the Hudson River. So anyway, anyone who's...
So this is the west side, so Hudson River runs along
So
this.
the two very famous brothers, George and Ira Gershwin, they lived in this building and wrote some of their most famous music here in this building. There's even a plaque right here commemorating this.
Their nephew, Adam Gershwin, was my high school classmate.
Wow. Okay, so now we're gonna, you can take a quick peek. That's the entrance. And then we're gonna cross the street, and we're gonna stand in a place where we can actually see the 14th floor, where Mishra's penthouse apartment was, and we'll probably come to cook and bathe every day.
Haribo.
That video was in the Ananda Ashram in the upstate in the Catskills. Okay, I'll come. Well, actually, this tree is blocked. Some people can go this. I'll stand here. Some people can go this way. No. The people talk. Come. Go this way. No. Better view on this side. Because the tree is blocking.
And the street could be dangerous.
Yeah, don't be in the street. Come in. So those go over in here. Next car. This car was just on, so we smell some nice engine. Okay, the 14th floor is the floor. Is in between the two white stripes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6,
Yeah, that is 14.
In the two white stripes, the floor in between. So that's probably 2, maybe 3 apartments. I can't say which is the right side or the north side or the south side.
Right, left or middle.
But yeah, that was
But facing the park.
facing the park and the Hudson River. And something that for most people from New York City, they only hear about it in storybooks and fairy tales, a place called New Jersey. And beyond that is California, and somewhere in the distance is China, but anyway, everything is Manhattan and nothing else really matters, So that's it, and now over here is the entrance to Riverside Park, which is in sections all along the west side.
Can you just describe the size of the apartment?
I don't know. It was called the penthouse, and penthouse could mean that it maybe be multi-floors, maybe, but it's described that Mishra initially gave Prabhupada a room all to himself. And then, as we were saying earlier, when it became inconvenient to maintain Prabhupada in the apartment, then he shifted him off to the, yoga studio. So, Prabhupada's would take walks over here, and we're going to walk now the 3 blocks required to bring us back to 72nd Street on here in Riverside Park, and that's where Prabhupada walked. So we're following this in the park. And then we're going to come up again to West End. So that's why it's on West End Avenue. It's the name of the street. So it's called West End Super Ed, the place where Prabhupada went shopping. And if anyone right here tonight would like to buy something, they can do that also, like something to drink or whatever. Okay, any questions or? Okay.
What did Prabhupada buy? What did he cook?
Kitchery.
Oats. Rice, donuts.
Mishra said, when Swami Bhaktivedanta came, I was just like a skeleton. And, he just saved my life. He said, this is Bhagavad Prasad. And he saved my life.
So must be pretty good. He had that cooker, isn't it? Rice, dal, rice, sabji.
Yeah, he brought his original cooker,
Do you know if Mishra was eating
which is on view in the Prabhupada Museum in Prabhupada's room in Sri Vrindavan now.
You know if Mishra was eating vegetarian food?
The question is, was Mishra eating vegetarian food? Let's just say I've not heard anything that he was not a vegetarian, that he was a meat eater. No,
I'm sure
no,
the Swami in India is vegetarian. Only Sufis are Krishna.
right.
Even they are vegetarians.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
So Prabhupada, he, living up here, he got an idea, he got a feel, and he toured all around the city, where was more favorable, where was more prestigious places to be. So when Prabhupada got the apartment, got the whole 11-story building at 55th Street, which is just, 72 to 55 is what? 17 blocks away, it's like, wow, Okay, you struggled here on the Upper West Side for 6 months, now I'll give you a place where you don't have to struggle. He had an 11th floor penthouse, ultimate exclusive roof access. There's a picture. And Prabhupada even been planning his tour in August 1977, and he made the decision in May that I'm going to be leaving. He remarked to Bhakti Chumarsh, the time for me to come. They brought Prabhupada to Rishikesh, maybe he could regain his health. And there was a big storm, and he understood, and he said, the time for me to leave my body has come. Please bring me back to Vrindavan. So that's May, June, July, August. 3 months later, they're making a tour. London, New York, Gita Nagari, Los Angeles, and Hawaii. That was the plan. So the idea is that if I leave my body in New York, I can make my samadhi on the road. It wasn't like a joke or like a grim kind of. Seriously, we own the building. You can do that. It's like maybe you don't report it or whatever, but you can do that. Is that he could have walked straight down 72nd Street, all the way here, where we're coming to West End Cinderella, and then he completed the walk on West End Avenue. Or if he didn't have anything to carry or boga, he would walk in here. And you can't see now, but this is West Side Highway. On the other side of that is the Hudson River. And as I was saying, the mythical, the fairy tale land of New Jersey. There was one devotee, I won't say his name, and we were telling the story of how the deities were distributed. Gornitai went to New Jersey, and Jagannath went to Baltimore, and he's like a dyed-in-the-wool New Yorker. He grew up in a swank place on 8th Street, near NYU, and we're telling the story, Radha Govinda, Brooklyn, Gornitai, New Jersey. Well, it's a good thing Gornitai are so merciful, that they can tolerate going to New Jersey. And Jagannath went to Baltimore. I never even heard of Baltimore, So. Is the West End Superette in the same place, under the same name, doing the same thing as it was how many years ago? 58 years ago. Or 1960, 59 years ago, yes.
59 to 58. Yeah.
And the current management has obtained the place last time we inquired we should have crossed the street anyway, in 1996. So,
what do you mean? What happened in 1996?
New management.
Oh, new ownership, new management?
I don't know, whatever.
All right.
The only owner is Krishna.
There you go. If you don't know the answer to the question.
So Prabhupada, he would probably come down here and this is West End, and then walk the 3 blocks up the hill and make a left again on 75th Street to go. So just to go boga shopping and carrying it, you see the distance he had to, So did everybody, you turn off your reader so can Prabhupada walking all the way from 100 West 72nd Street, all the way over here, and all the way back. And the shoes that you see in the Brooklyn Temple in the museum that are gold-plated, those are the shoes that he was wearing.
Wow. Those very shoes.
Those very ones. And now, with the light red and the green, we will cross the screen.
Hier war einkaufen.
Aber er hat doch gesagt, dass den Laden damals nicht gab.
Doch, den gab's noch. Das ist dasselbe an der Ecke, das Management hat nur geändert. Ist ja klar, nach 60 Jahren ist derselbe Laden. West End Super, der hieß genauso.
And it's not a very bad store if anybody wants to buy something. Prabhupada would say that just a little canister of chili powder costs 25 cents, 10 times more than it would cost in India. Very expensive.
It's like an Indian shop or?
No. Yeah, I mean, whatever, you know, it's spicy, it's a little spicy.
Ich hab auch nichts. Was ist denn jetzt?
Willst du auch kaufen? Frau hat auch was gekauft.
Down Broadway to 57th Street, which is like David Letterman or whatever, the late generation. But back in those days, it was a Woolworths. Prabhupada bought two 8x10 picture frames. One for his spiritual master and one for Lord Chaitanya. And Robert Nelson, he later became initiated by someone who as Jagannath Prasad. But anyway, Prabhupada never received initiation from Prabhupada. So Prabhupada cooked and made a feast for Lord Chaitanya and offered it to the pictures. Yeah. No, in the
one on.
well, I guess he cooked there, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, you know, like, I don't know, you know, like he's cooking there, I guess he's eating there also, right? And Robert Nelson says that Prabhupada personally served me and I ate all what Prabhupada cooked. He was his sole companion for Gorpani, which was on the
Gorpani 1966.
1966, which was, I took a shot. Sunday, the 6th of March, 1966. 6th of March. Gorpani, Sunday feast with Prabhupada. Okay, so I guess this concludes the tour. The subway is up at the red light there. Did everybody here see like 2nd Avenue and Tompkins Square Park and 94 Bowery? Everybody all knows all those things? No?
Let's do another tour.
Overnight pilgrimage.
Okay, well, tomorrow we're going to put the Harinam in Union Square. The first place where Union must begin is in Union Square. So, everybody here's seen 26 2nd Avenue, right? Yes?
Yeah.
Tompkins Square Park, yes. So tomorrow could be like a quick tour. We take the subway and show 94 Bowery and 100 Bowery. Bowery is a street as well as a neighborhood. Michael Grant and Jan, later to become Mukunda and Janaki, the younger sister of Yamuna, they lived 94. Four addresses down, very close. And when the Paul, the young guy who Harvey Cohn had as a roommate, was living there with Prabhupada, went crazy on an LSD trip and was like threatening Prabhupada. Prabhupada came down the 4 flights of stairs and went to Mukunda's and appealed for help. It's 4 blocks north, so you can see that. And he had an artist in resident loft on the top floor also, but he was using it as a musician. He actually had, Prabhupada asked, could he move in with Mukunda, which would have been a lot more favorable, you know, on one level, because Mukunda was a gentleman and submissive. We said, well, you know, we got drum kits, we got like all kinds of instruments, musicians come in here all time of the day, there's jam sessions, it wouldn't work. So it was Carl Jurgens, you know, you can read a little bit. He was, which was quite progressive at the time, or whatever you want to say. He was black-bodied, and his wife was like a white Jewish lady, you know, and she was a real feminist, and you know, and like they were living in the apartment, you know, doing whatever, and they had like dogs and stuff, and like they'd meat in the refrigerator, and so that was the only option for Prabhupada. Prabhupada stayed there for like a week or 2. You can read in Lila Rita how his wife's name was Eva, and she was like really resentful. Who is this Swami coming in here and changing my life? You know, like this and like that. And like as far as Carl, who became one of the first disciples, initiated is Karlapati. Okay, he had to make a choice between his wife and Srila Prabhupada. He chose the former as opposed to the latter, you know. And then ultimately, when Prabhupada was moved to 26 2nd Avenue, he just kind of faded away. Satsuru Maharaj writes in Lila Amrita, it was like a changing of the guard, you know. Because the Bowery, it was on the Prabhupada was up on the 4th floor, so they had like these secluded meditations. So some of those folks, when they saw Prabhupada at a storefront on the street, there's like a lot of roughnecks, and there's a Puerto Rican neighborhood back then, there's barking dogs and all that traffic. And like people walk by, hey, what the hell is this? You know, and like Bowery bums and derelicts just kind of staggering in, you know. It's like, there was one of the former people, I forget her name, she was like, you know, I thought a brick was going to come through the window at any minute. I was like, I threatened for my life, you know. It's just like, this is not my scene, you know.
It's tiny, bro.
26 2nd Avenue West. These lofts are like complete space from front to back. They weren't sectioned off apartments. They were formerly used as like warehouses, workhouses, you know, which they enacted like, you know, labor laws and stuff. Like if you look at the plaques in Union Square, they had all these like labor rallies and, you know, protesting the, you know, obnoxious conditions and stuff, long work hours, little pay, and dangerous conditions and stuff, you know. So those were these buildings, you know. So because, you know, they're not going to use them for that anymore. So, and then who's going to want to live in the Bowery? And then the East Village was like, the West Village, Greenwich Village, was still a little bit up. That was like where the beatnik scene and the, you know, then the folk scene, Joan Baez, Bob Dylan, and all that stuff was going on. You know, but the East Village was still, like you can read about Prabhupada, you know, the neighborhood, you know, it's still, you know, the Ukrainian Museum, where's, not the VR, where is it? Oh, there you are, okay, right? They still have Ukrainian Credit Union. You read about, like, you know, they had all these, like, they were long-time residents there, and then when the hippies moved in, who were these people? You see, like, some of these Ukrainian women, you know, with the neck just like giving like a scowl, you know, the Kirtanananda, and look at this kirtan in the park, you know, and it said it was like a hotbed of tension, you know, and then like the luncheonettes and, you know, eating places along Avenue A, you brought hippies and Ukrainian immigrants to get side by side together for bodily nourishment, sitting at these little luncheonette counters, these spinning stools, you know, and they, you know, so it wasn't like now a gentrified, you know, prestigious neighborhood. It was, you know, so it's quite a thing, you know. Very dangerous neighborhood back then, you know. Like we went on this walking Harinam after the Gaudiya Math Bodhayan March Bhakti Siddhanta 150 festival. We walked from Washington Square all the way down St. Mark's Place into the Tompkins Square Park, and there was all these people like eating between First Avenue and Avenue A, outdoor dining. You'd never see that back then. People would be so frightened. The nightlife back then was simply to run for your life, you know. That's it, you know. So the neighborhood has so much changed. So Prabhupada took so much risk, you know, He said, I did not know. I thought everywhere is my home. So let this energize your, take a good study again of the very wonderful volume 2, Planting the Seed, which describes all of these things in detail. And hopefully what we just did tonight will increase your appreciation of what Prabhupada did for us and what he did personally for you to come here and save us, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I can do another tour tomorrow at the end of Hare from Union Square. It'll be the same thing, 7 o'clock we pack up and we can do some things. But this was a very extensive one.
7 o'clock pack up from where?
Union Square.
Square.
Tuesday is Union Square Day. Okay, and now we walk up in the
Prabhupada, when all of his god brothers and people that he had known for years refused to help him. So, that's very significant. They played a big part in Srila Prabhupada founding this mission.
Yeah, like some of the God brothers who were sent to London in the 1930s, they, just spoke to lords and ladies and like so-called high-class people. Lord Zeppelin, can you make me a brahmana? Yes, certainly. All you have to do is follow these regular principles. No meat, no. Impossible. So, and then he approached the chief God brother who was legally in charge of the Chaitanya Math. He was the right-hand man to Bhakti Siddhanta at the time, Kunja Bihari, then became Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj. And he completely discouraged Prabhupada, saying that unless you go to America being backed by a prestigious organization, nobody will listen to you. And then this is 1959, he's saying. And now, in 1959, nobody goes to meetings anymore. Everything is done through the medium of television. So the God brother is thinking that you'll only be successful if you approach the highest echelons of society. So Prabhupada was seemingly put in a position where he was dealing with the lowest class of society, But the young people, they were very sharp, and they were like, renunciants. They're giving up, like their fathers and mothers. They just came back from World War II, proud as anything. We just beat Germany and Japan. Who the hell are you, England, London was unseated after like 200 or 300 years of being the superpower. Prabhupada would remark how there was like a cartoon, the British Empire signified as a lion is in like quadruple traction in a hospital bed, all his limbs are broken, And of course Prabhupada said because what they did to India, the reaction was they were like destroyed as the superpower. And then America became the superpower, So these American young people, they're rejecting this materialism that they grew up in the 1950s and early 1960s. And then Prabhupada came and he's giving Bhagavad Gita as it is. He's giving Krishna as it is. So it actually, seemingly they were in the low-class material position, but they were actually in the highest class position. And this is the people that were sent by Prabhupada to expand the movement all over the world. Like we were saying the story of Rukmini getting the 61 2nd Avenue, and the devotees are telling Prabhupada, we got a palace, Srila Prabhupada, you're going to love the new temple, it's a palace. But it was just a storefront, a little nicer, a little bigger than 26 2nd Avenue. Prabhupada would be so disappointed. Prabhupada said, I prayed to Krishna to send me one moon, but he sent me so many beautiful moonlight boys and girls. And Prabhupada would just say that, you are representing my spiritual master, you've been sent to me by Krishna. Bhavananda Prabhu tells the story, he heard it from Prabhupada's mouth directly, that Krishna told me in Goloka Vrindavan, I want you to go down to the earth planet, and and this is the only thing he instructed Prabhupada to do. I simply write your books, and I will take care of everything else. That's why you see how important was Prabhupada's mission to translate Srimad Bhagavatam and everything. And I don't want to go there. It's such a nasty, dirty place. But that's all right. You simply go, and I'll take care of everything. So all of us, And okay, you're very fortunate if you're one of Prabhupada's direct disciples, but this movement is going to go on for 10,000 years. So somebody has to be born at certain times. So we should make that very intimate personal connection with Srila Prabhupada and just surrender our life to be his representative. We should never think ourselves independently great devotees. We should simply aspire to be instrumental in the hands of the Mahabhagavat predecessor acharyas. Then we can actually do something for suffering humanity. So, Prabhupada, you can go on trying to understand and glorify and revel in his personal reciprocation with Lord Sri Krishna, Shri Radha and Krishna, for all of time everlasting. And certainly dedicate the rest of your time in this body to do that, and your life will be a complete success. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishna